Hello everyone and welcome back to the next installment in the Building a Smart Home Cheaply series. In our previous video, we went over how to send basic push notifications to our iOS devices. If you want to watch the first video for some context, click the card that's showing up right now. Today we're going to be diving into a bit more of a complex notification that is still wrapped around the weather. The automation we're going to focus on today tells us tomorrow's weather forecast at a time that we specify. I do want to touch on something. At the time I'm making this video, Home Assistant seems to be having issues with Safari, so make sure that you're using Chrome going forward, at least until some of these issues seem to be resolved. To get started, let's go to the configuration page and go to automations. In the bottom right, we're going to go to the plus sign and we're going to skip this wizard if it shows up. And I'm going to call this automation notify me when, notify me of the forecast for tomorrow. For the description, let's put send me a notification when, I'm really struggling today. Send me a notification at a specified time of the weather forecast. Okay, scrolling down, we want our trigger to be the specific time that we want to get this notification. So I'm gonna say trigger type, time, and then at the @ field, you're gonna put in military time, the time that you want to get this notification. So me personally, I'm still awake at like 9 o'clock in the evening. So I'm gonna say at 21 o'clock, and make sure you follow this format. So you got your hour, minute, second, and use leading zeros if you're doing the AM. So if you were gonna do 8 AM, you would do 08. So I want this at 9 PM. Personally, I'm not gonna do any conditions, but if you wanted to add additional rules before this automation can run, you can choose your conditions here. Now for the action, we want to send a notification. In our last video, we know how to do that now. So we're going to go to action type and then call service notify. I'm going to use notify.notify. There's a current bug in Home Assistant that seems to not let us write in YAML. So if you're trying to type something like message, you're going to immediately get this error. So if that happens, you're just going to press enter and you're going to press the tab key, and under data, you're gonna write title, space, quotation marks. To get to this screen, if you're not in this edit in YAML mode, to do that, click the button in the top right corner and click edit with YAML or edit in YAML, and you'll switch to the view that I'm showing you currently. For the title, we actually don't need quotation marks. We're just gonna say tomorrow's forecast. Let's switch over to the developer tools section like we did in the previous video, and let's scroll down to the weather.home entity. In the weather.home entity, we can get the current state, but under attributes column, we can see that it gives us the forecast for the next 5 days. Within this forecast, we can see the condition, we can see the pressure, humidity, wind bearing, and temperature. Some of this to me is more information than I would need in a notification. But I think what would be important is getting the condition, the humidity, and the temperature. In order to pull out this data, we're gonna go back to our automation, and underneath the title, we're gonna create the message field. And in the message of our push notification, we're gonna say expect blank conditions with a high of blank degrees and blank % humidity. To pull this information out, we're gonna do what we did in the previous video, and we're gonna use these curly braces to tell Home Assistant that we're about to pull data out from it. So replace blank for the blank conditions with the set of curly braces. And within that, we're gonna write state underscore ATTR, which is short for attributes. We're gonna create parentheses. And within these parentheses, we're gonna do quote, weather.home, end quote, comma, space, and then within quotation marks, again, we're gonna put forecast. This is telling Home Assistant to pull the forecast out from the attributes. But under forecast, we can see that there's a list here of multiple days, and we only want the next day. So how do we get just this first day from the forecast list? Doing that is actually very simple. The first item in the list is actually number 0. After state underscore adder, we're gonna do bracket, square bracket, 0, end bracket. So just look at my screen and make sure that it follows this format. Now, if we want to get the condition of the first day, which is just called condition in the attributes, after this bracket 0 end bracket, you're going to put period condition. Okay, so we're telling Home Assistant to get the forecast attribute from the weather.home entity. We want the first day and we want to pull the condition from that day. Let's copy this entire bit of text here, and let's scroll down, and let's replace the blank degrees. And instead of pulling out condition, we're going to pull out the temperature. So let's go back to developer tools. It looks like that attribute is called temperature. So instead of condition, we're going to replace that with temperature. And then scrolling down even more, we're going to replace the blank for humidity. And instead of dot condition, we're going to do, it looks like, just dot humidity. Okay, so now we can see our long message here. It says expect the condition with a high of the temperature, high for that day, and then also the humidity. Okay, and if you're using Chrome like I had suggested, you should be able to press the save icon in the bottom right regardless of this error that we're seeing at the top here. Once it's saved, we'll see the little trash icon in the top right, and the save button has disappeared, meaning that the automation has been saved. Again, hopefully by the time that you watch this video, this bug is going to be solved. Okay, just like with our first automation, let's try testing out this one by pressing the execute button. Sure enough, there it is. We get a notification that says tomorrow's forecast, expect rainy conditions with a high of 81.7 degrees and a 90% humidity. Awesome. So now we're going to get a notification at, in my case, 9 o'clock every evening telling me of tomorrow's forecast. So now we know how to pull out states and attributes from Home Assistant, and we know how to tie that into something like push notifications to our device. You'll find that we'll be often needing to do that for different automations. In our next video, we actually will be covering an automation that involves a smart home product. In this case, it's just going to be a smart switch. These are incredibly affordable, and I'll put a link in the description for the ones that I use that I've had no problems with so far. The nice thing about a smart switch is that you can turn an old appliance that isn't smart into a smart one. So for instance, a lamp that you have that has a physical toggle switch that leaves it in the on or off position, plug that into a smart switch, and then when the smart switch turns on, the lamp will turn on, and you didn't even need a Philips Hue bulb. Other examples would involve any other electronic you have in your house that can be powered on with a physical switch on that device. So for instance, if you have like a desk fan or something like that that's set to the on position, when it receives power, then the fan will automatically turn on. So my suggestion would be go ahead and get one of these using the link in the description if you don't have one already, and start brainstorming what products you have lying around your house that are dumb and use a physical on-off switch that we could then automate with a smart switch. One example might be a wax warmer, for instance. Those things tend to go through fragrances pretty fast when they're left on 24/7. So it'd be nice to have a wax warmer that would turn on or off with a smart switch based on whether or not you're home. Anyways, I'll let you do the brainstorming on what you want to control, and I'll see you in the next video.